We're always getting frustrated because our communication isn't working, and I think there's one very good and pretty obvious reason for that. We're not communicating anymore, we're texting. Text has replaced talking and normal conversation and regular back and forth, good old-fashioned chat in every element. And the trouble with texting is, it could be anyone at the end of that text. Computers can write text, robots can write text. It's the opposite of being personable and being engaging and having something to actually say that isn't edited scrupulously, or isn't something that you probably wouldn't have the nerve to say in real life, but texting gives you that ability. It's a false impression of who we are as people. The moment you hear somebody live, you hear somebody's voice, they are a person to you. They're not this two-dimensional being that's putting words on a page. We can get other people to put words on a page for us, but we can't get other people to talk for us, to be us in real time, in a one-on-one way that doesn't have some vehicle in between that can make things misconstrued, can cause misinterpretation, comes along with 101 different challenges. Even listening to my voice now, you know me much better than if I were to just write an essay about this stuff. It's unscripted, and it's not perfect, and it's not polished, and on the flip side of that, it's not something that I couldn't actually make come out of my mouth, but I would be okay to type. Typing is like a tool. It's like a form of magic that you can choose to use for good or evil. You can either hype yourself right up, or you can make yourself into a complete plonker, but you've typed it, so it gives you that comfort blanket of not being completely associated with you. People retreat into text because it gives them that space to go wrong and be able to correct their mistakes. But in the real world, we're unedited. We are who we are. We don't say things perfectly the first time, all the time. And it doesn't matter. The people we admire are the people who do slip up, unashamedly. They're natural, they're down to earth, they're on a level that we can relate to. We can't relate to something that isn't really realistic. Have a text conversation with someone for too long and you're going to get completely bored with them. It makes me wonder how many of the people in my life I would actually be friends with, be as close as I am with them, if I had met them through a text conversation. What would I think of them then? Would I like them the same? Would we have reached the point that we're now at? And I gotta say, I'm not sure we would. Because we know that we can put as much or as little into texting, that it gives us that extra freedom to outdo ourselves, it raises our expectations when we look at somebody else. If they don't meet those expectations, usually we judge them harshly for it, and if they do, when we meet them in real life, we judge them even more harshly for it because they don't live up to this imaginary fantasy we had in our mind. When we talk to somebody, when we actually talk to them, we get a sense of that person. We can kind of suss out their vibe and who they are and what they're about. We can't honestly do that over text because people are usually very different when they're writing to who they are as people in the real world. How many times have you met someone online or exchanged emails with somebody or communicated in a non-verbal way, and then when it comes to actually meeting that person, they are completely not what you had in your mind? It just goes to prove that when we write, we're creating the character we want to be. But it's not truly us as we actually are. And it might be the same over the phone to a certain extent. We all have countless conversations with people over the phone that when you meet them, they look nothing like you thought. But at least over the phone, they are still a person. They haven't got somebody else doing the legwork for them. They are who they are. You've heard their voice and you've heard them say what only they could say out of their mind in real time, untainted by them changing it in any way. We value them as another human being, as somebody that we've actually got to know a little bit, rather than a complete stranger who might somehow be attached to that thing we read a little while ago. It's a different kind of connection. And if we truly want to get to know people, we're going to have to step out our comfort zone and start talking to them. Because if we keep going down the text route, more and more we're going to start living in a warped world where the real deal is never good enough. Where people are being judged based on something that isn't them at all. It's a skewed perception of them. And they are somebody that we truly know absolutely nothing about. We can't make people understand our heart and the experience that we go through over text. It doesn't work. I've tried it before, and I always come away disappointed. I always come away feeling unsatisfied, like they didn't get it, and I don't know how to express myself in such a way that they might. The answer is that over text, it's never gonna work. Maybe it's time to bite the bullet and start talking to each other at the right time, rather than spending all of our time on writing.